Pokemon Discord version. Book 2, Chapter 3. The faint blowing of calm winds through grass wakes Adonis as he opens his eyes.
What? Where am I? Is this center boneyard of Hallowtown?
He says to himself as he stands up slowly. He looked around at the peaceful cemetery with confusion as the winds continued calmly blowing through the grass and trees that surrounded him.
Why am I here? I know for certain this wasn't where I was when I passed out. Wait, my gear! My Pokemon! What the hell happened? I'm completely bare. Someone must have stolen my things while I was sleeping. How could I have let something like this happen?
Adonis said to himself, desperately trying to recollect his memory. He looked down at his arms and hands and immediately noticed his Phantom Blade contract markings were gone. All of the sinister ancient text that was etched onto his flesh had now completely vanished.
What?
He yelled as he began to panic. Adonis then ran over to the nearby pond and looked down to try and see his reflection.
How is this even possible? I'm free of the Phantom Blade contract? The only way that can happen is if the wielder dies. Is it possible that I'm dead?
Adonis wondered to himself while looking at his reflection. Not only had the markings disappeared from his flesh, but his entire persona had changed. He did not feel like himself. His flesh was freezing cold to the touch, and the white from his eyes had turned red, matching his natural eye color. Adonis could hear a familiar creature's voice as the mysterious Pokemon floated towards him gently.
What manner of creature are you? I've never seen anything like you before, but your presence feels familiar, almost inviting. Do you know what happened to me? Do you know where all of my Pokemon and gear went? Please, my friend, I need to know.
Adonis asked the strange Pokemon. The Pokemon then floated onto Adonis's shoulder and replied with a positive cry.
It is called Shedinja, Adonis. A strange and rare species indeed.
Suddenly a voice came from behind Adonis. Adonis quickly turned around to see his grandfather Eldridge walking towards him from the vine-wrapped gate of Center Boneyard.
Grandfather, what are you doing here?
Adonis asked. I would ask you the same thing, Adonis, but it seems you have no idea, do you? Eldridge replied.
I can't remember what happened to me. I can't remember anything. I woke up here without any of my Pokemon, and on top of that, all of the markings from the Phantom Blade contract are gone. However, I can still feel its haunting energies looming over my spirit. What is happening, Grandfather? I'm so confused.
Adonis said to Eldridge with fear in his words. Well, Adonis, I wouldn't say all of your Pokemon are missing. Shedinja seems quite comfortable on your shoulder. Eldridge said with a bright, warm smile.
Shedinja? But Grandfather, this isn't my Pokemon. Or at least if it is, I have no memory of catching it or training with it at all. I'm sorry if that's the case, Shedinja. I've lost my memories. I fear I won't ever get them back.
Adonis replied. Look closer, Adonis. Look closer at your Pokemon partner, and you'll find the memories you seek, Eldridge said to Adonis. Adonis then looked into the ghostly insect's eyes and immediately flashed back to Ninjask.
Wait, is this... No, it can't be. This is Ninjask?
Adonis asked with a wide-eyed confusion. Come, child. There is much that I must explain to you, Eldridge said as he led Adonis from Center Boneyard into what remained of Hallowtown. As they walked, Adonis noticed the town was almost completely destroyed, though he could only remember bits and pieces of how it happened.
Grandfather, did we do this to Hallowtown? I can't remember everything, but I keep getting blurry memories of death and destruction. Did Father make me do this?
Adonis asked with shame in his voice. Do not worry, my boy. That part of your life is over. It is time to focus on the future. You are still standing, and that is all that matters, isn't it, Adonis? Eldridge said to Adonis as they approached Eldridge's lab that he constructed after the Hallowtown massacre.
Professor!
A female voice suddenly came from the lab as the doors opened quickly. A beautiful young woman with red hair in a nurse's outfit walked up to Eldridge and Adonis with a gorgeous smile.
Perfect timing. I just got baby Aiden down for his nap and lunch is ready for you and your special guest. No need to worry. Chansey is watching over Aiden just in case something wakes him.
said the young woman to Eldridge. "Ah, Joycelia, very good, my girl. I do not know what I would do without you. Let us converse over a fantastic meal, shall we?" Eldridge said with glee.
Professor, aren't you going to introduce me to your guest?
Joycelia said nervously while blushing. "Oh, goodness, how impolite of me. Adonis, this is my good friend and esteemed assistant, Nurse Joycelia. She assists me with anything I might need help with around the lab, and she has been an absolute treasure to have in my life," Eldridge said, praising Nurse Joy.
Oh gosh, he gives me far too much credit.
Joycelia said as she giggled. "Nurse Joycelia, this is my grandson, Adonis," Eldridge says as he nudges Adonis forward.
Hi, I'm Adonis. It's nice to meet you, Nurse Joycelia,"
Adonis said nervously.
Please call me Joy.
Nurse Joy said to Adonis as she brushed her hair behind her ear. "Now that we are all acquainted, let us enjoy this fine meal that Nurse Joycelia has prepared for us. Adonis, we have many important matters to discuss," Eldridge said as they made their way into Eldridge's lab and sat down at the table within the dining area. "Ah, what a wonderful meal! Freshly caught grilled Magikarp, prepared to perfection. Joycelia is an absolute gourmand, wouldn't you say, Adonis?" Eldridge asked as he noticed Adonis hadn't touched his food at all. Despite how delicious his dinner looked, something within Adonis prevented him from feeling any hunger whatsoever. The mouth-watering aroma of the food didn't seem attractive to him at all, though Adonis was far too confused and depressed to even think about eating anything. "Now, Adonis, before our discussion, I would like to ask you this. Walking through this old town, have you recollected any memories from the past?" Eldridge asked Adonis. Adonis looked down at his food with despair.
"Yes, I remember what I did. I remember what Team Rocket did to Agoria. The war and death we caused to our own homeland. Grandfather, I'm ashamed of what I've done. My memories are slowly coming back to me. I led Alpha Squad through each and every village of Agoria. Our mission was to find and exterminate every remaining Resistance member who belonged to the group known as the Light. I remember killing and eviscerating everything within our grasp. My eyes were blind to everything, but the hatred running through my veins. Why did I do this, Grandfather? What caused me to become so cruel like my father?"
Adonis said with agony and shame in his words. "I am glad you remember, my boy. But Adonis, you mustn't blame yourself for what your father made you do. I do not know if you are aware, but it's been an entire year since all of that happened," Eldridge said.
"A year? No! That's impossible! Grandfather, have I been in a coma for a year?"
Adonis said loudly as he panicked and stood up abruptly and slammed his hands down on the table, causing his food to fall to the floor. In the other room, baby Aiden began crying loudly.
Oh, forgive me. I must tend to baby Aiden.
Nurse Joy said as she left the dining room as quickly as possible. "Adonis, my boy, no one deserves to be put through what you have been put through. I am so sorry for all that your father has done to this family. I must tell you the truth about what happened during the end of the Hallowtown massacre. You do not remember the conclusion of your last mission, do you?" Eldridge asked as he put his hand on Adonis's shoulder and felt the coldness of death upon contact.
"No. The last thing I remember is killing the final members of the Light. Everything after that is nothing but a blur. Grandfather, everything feels so surreal. Why isn't my father looking for me? Why hasn't my squad sent scouts to find me? Nothing makes sense anymore."
Adonis replied with anger and confusion as he sat back down in his seat. "Calm yourself, Adonis. Please don't get yourself worked up, my boy," Eldridge said, trying to calm Adonis's nerves. In the other room, they could hear baby Aiden had stopped crying and Nurse Joy had rejoined them in the dining room to clean up the mess Adonis had made. Following behind her was a Chansey that held baby Aiden bundled up in its arms, gently bouncing him to keep him calm as he drank from a bottle. Shedinja quickly floated towards baby Aiden and began to play with him happily. "Adonis, my boy, your father, as you know, has always been one to only use his methods, no matter how insurmountably cruel they may be. His influence is far greater than anyone could have ever imagined.
The death that he has caused in the name of technological progression and science is inexcusable. The ideals that he carries with him today are far different from the ones that were used to build the empire that he is currently utilizing for his devilish agenda. I know you already have realized this long ago, back when we planned on creating the resistance group with Desmond and Ava. It wasn't your fault. I know what happened when you tried to stand up to him. I shouldn't have asked so much of you back then. You are only a child after all. I fear that I am the one to blame for all of your misfortune, Adonis.
Eldridge explained.
What? You're talking about what Father did to Jace, when he killed her Pokemon and fused its parts to her mutilated body? That was 6 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. That's one memory I can never forget, no matter how hard I tried.
Adonis sorrowfully replied.
Yes, unfortunately that memory will haunt you forever. Adonis, I cannot tell you how sorry I am for allowing that to happen. I cannot forgive myself for allowing all of those horrific events to take place. For Agoria to have fallen into Team Rocket's twisted hands. But that is in the past, my boy. We must look towards the future, for there is a bright future ahead. However, light cannot exist without darkness. Wherever the light goes, darkness will follow. We must ensure that the future holds balance,
Eldridge says while looking over at baby Aiden.
Who's the kid?
Adonis asks.
His name is Aiden Monarch. I rescued him from the Hallowtown massacre 1 year ago. He is the son of Desmond and Ava Monarch. It was not long after when I found little Joycelia. Her and Chansey have been with us ever since, and I thank Arceus every day for having found them.
Eldridge replied as he smiled at Nurse Joy.
That's right. My family was killed during the war. If it wasn't for Professor Eldridge and Alakazam, I don't know where we would be right now,
said Nurse Joy.
Grandfather, this still doesn't answer why I've been unconscious for so long. What happened to my Pokemon partners? What happened to Alpha Squad? This Pokemon that follows me? This Shedinja? Where did it come from? This can't be Ninjask. Ninjask is the final evolution of Nikita. It doesn't evolve any further. I'm so confused. My mind feels fractured. My body doesn't even feel real anymore. I don't have a heartbeat. I don't feel like me. All I can feel is coldness and sorrow. What is happening to me? Why is this happening? Why has everyone been taken from me? Ah!
Adonis said as his body began pulsing and darkness surrounded his aura. Adonis screamed as he began to change. He grabbed his head with both hands as wind started to blow everything in the dining room around, and his red eyes began to shine a bright, piercing glow. Baby Aiden began crying as Nurse Joy fell to the floor, trying to hold on to something. Chansey quickly carried baby Aiden into the next room to protect him from Adonis.
Alakazam! Soul Barrier!
Eldridge said as Alakazam used its telekinetic force to restrain Adonis. Cutting through the whirling winds, Alakazam then teleported directly in front of Adonis and placed its hand on his forehead, revealing all of Adonis's lost memories.
Please, Adonis, I know things might seem confusing to you now, but giving yourself to darkness is not the answer, my boy.
Eldridge said as Adonis began to calm down and his powers reverted for the time being. Nurse Joy pressed herself against the wall while still sitting on the ground and looking mortified.
What have I done? I killed my own squad. I killed the boy's parents. I killed my own fiancé. I killed everyone who wanted to stop Team Rocket. I even almost killed you and the kid. Ninjask. This Pokemon Shedinja is not Ninjask. Ninjask is dead, and so am I. Father killed me in our last battle, didn't he? I have no idea what came over me. I can't believe this is happening. I'm dead. I'm actually dead. A ghost of vile darkness and evil. Damned to walk Agoria, to be reminded of my wicked ways day after day for eternity.
Adonis said with horror throughout his tone.
Adonis, I'm so sorry you had to find out this way, my boy. Your father did indeed defeat you during your battle. However, death is not the end for you, Adonis. Look at you. You've left your body, but not this plane of existence. I've never heard anything like this happening ever before, my boy. Every dark cloud has its silver lining, and an opportunity like this does not come about commonly. Through your death, you have freed yourself from Giratina and the Phantom Blade contract. However, I still feel the Blade's presence. That could have something to do with the bond you share with your Pokemon partners, Adonis. Yes, you have been shaped into one of the finest warriors this world has ever seen. But one thing you possess that will outweigh your power is the love within your heart, my boy. Even as a ghost, the love of your mother passed on to you still exists, and it exists closer than you think.
Looks over at Shedinja.
There is no mistaking it now. I am sure that you have fully inherited the eyes of my father, Lord Zero. He was the only man in existence that could use his crimson eyes to peer into the distortion world. Even if you did not inherit that specific gift, you have been blessed with immense power. Power that could be used to put a permanent end to King Zalis and the misdirection of Team Rocket.
Eldritch explained.
But grandfather, what about my Pokemon partners? You say I'm free from the Phantom Blade contract. Does that mean I can no longer possess the Phantom Blade Aegislash?
Adonis asked.
My boy, words can only explain so much. Allow me to train you, Adonis. Allow me to reteach you how to become a true Pokemon master. Over time, your former Pokemon partners will reappear to you. I still feel them within your spirit, though it will take time to reawaken them. I will be here with you through every step of this journey, Adonis. Your genetic makeup is still a complete mystery to me, but we will learn together, my grandchild. Will you accept my mentorship, Adonis?
Eldritch says proudly as he reaches his hand out to shake Adonis's.
Yes. Yes, grandfather. I accept. Please show me the way. I would be honored to call you my master.
Adonis replied humbly as he reached out and shook his grandfather's hand. Oh! Horrific future sight. Eldritch yelled out as Adonis's cold phantom touch caused Eldritch to see an unsettling vision of the future.
Grandfather! Grandfather! What's wrong? Please get up! Nurse Joy! Help!
Adonis yelled out as Eldritch fell to the floor of the dining room.
Oh my gosh! Professor! What happened?
Nurse Joy yelled out as she and Adonis helped Eldritch up and into the common room, laying him down on a couch.
Thank you, Nurse Joy.
Eldritch said as he recollected himself.
What happened, grandfather? When we shook hands, you just collapsed. Was that my fault?
Adonis said reluctantly as he felt terrible for causing Eldritch so much pain.
No, my boy. Please, it was nothing. No need to worry about me. I'll be just fine,
Eldritch replied, putting Adonis and Joycelia's minds at ease.
Professor, I'm going to fix you some medicine. I know you said you were okay, but I also know how stubborn you can be. I'll be right back. Adonis, look after your grandfather for the time being, okay?
Nurse Joy asked.
Yes, ma'am,
Adonis said while watching Nurse Joy leave the room.
That Nurse Joy is fantastic. You're lucky to have her around, grandfather,
Adonis said. Ah, yes. I certainly don't know what I would do without her. She's like the granddaughter I never had. She seems to have taken a liking to you, Adonis. You two are close in age, too, my boy. I've always wanted to be a great-grandfather. Eldritch joked with Adonis.
Yeah, she's very pretty and kind, but because of recent events, women are about the last thing on my mind. Plus, I'm dead, grandfather. Remember?
Adonis replied with a melancholy tone. Oh, I was only kidding around with you, my boy. You should lighten up a bit. It does wonders on the soul. Look at you, all grown up. Ah, I know. Go into that top drawer over there, into that cabinet, Adonis. If I'm not mistaken, there should be an old photo album I kept for all these years. It has your baby pictures. I'm sure Nurse Joy would love to see those, huh? Eldritch said to Adonis as Nurse Joy entered the room with a tray that had a cup of medicine for Eldritch.
Oh, baby pictures? Oh my gosh, let me see. Adonis, I bet you were the most adorable baby ever. Oh!
Nurse Joy said as she handed the tray to Adonis and bolted over to the cabinet and grabbed the photo album.
Must we?
Adonis asked.
Yes, we must.
Nurse Joy replied playfully as she sat beside Eldridge on the couch and started flipping through the photo album rapidly. Adonis sighed and walked over to join them.
Professor Aldridge, is this you when you were young? What a strapping man you were!
Nurse Joy said as they continued flipping through pages of the memory album. Oh, there's my little whelp of a grandson. Eldridge laughed as they found an infant picture of Adonis.
Aw, oh my gosh, you were such a tiny little guy, weren't you? Oh, and look at all your hair! Such a cutie pie.
Nurse Joy said as she playfully pinched Adonis's cheek. Nurse Joy gasped as she felt Adonis's coldness shiver down her spine upon contact. Nurse Joy looked at Adonis with worry on her face, but she didn't know what she could say without offending him. Adonis felt embarrassed by this and looked away quickly with a sorrowful look on his face. Adonis, your Shedinja has taken quite well to baby Aiden, it seems. It hasn't left his side since you arrived. Isn't that precious? Eldridge said to Adonis as Chansey walked into the room, holding baby Aiden with Shedinja following. Baby Aiden laughs cheerfully as Shedinja floats and bobs around playfully towards him.
That reminds me. Grandfather, how did you know Shedinja's name? I've never seen a Pokemon like this or even heard of one. I assume you have?
Adonis asked. Oh, right. I did want to speak with you about that as well. Thank you for reminding me. Now, you remember the Nincada your mother Alma gave you when you were just a boy? Eldridge asked.
Of course. I loved that Ninjask so much. My only Pokemon partner my father allowed me to train with was the Phantom Blade Honedge he gave me. Not that I didn't appreciate Honedge, but there was something about the Nincada that I just liked so much more. Something real I could really connect with, you know.
Adonis said. Yes, my boy, I was hoping that was the case. That is precisely why I captured it for you, Adonis. I knew that a young boy your age could use a companion as well as a weapon. Nincada and Honedge were quite the pair, weren't they? However, pertaining to your question earlier about Shedinja, Nincada is a truly special and mysterious Pokemon because it can evolve into two Pokemon simultaneously. I know that sounds off, but there is proof before our very eyes. Points to Shedinja. Shedinja! You see, once a Nincada evolves, it initially turns into Ninjask, correct? Now, have you ever thought about how it does this? The answer is through a type of evolution called molting, or the shedding of the skin. Nincada sheds its unused skin, and out comes a Ninjask. Though curiously enough, the shed skin fibers seem to emit spiritual energy. A type of spiritual energy that is especially potent. This energy that the skin emits comes from the distortion world. Therefore, it will inevitably attract other roaming disembodied spirits who are desperately in search of a host. The spirits fuse with the Nincada shedding and become an entirely different Pokemon. Thus, Shedinja is born, Eldridge said to Adonis.
Grandfather, you told Mother to give me Nincada? I can't tell you how much good that little Pokemon did for me. Ninjask was everything to me. My partner, my pet, my best friend. Ninjask was there for me when nobody else was able to be. I feel that Pokemon truly shared the deepest bond with me I've ever had. Thank you, Grandfather. I can't even describe in words how much that meant to me, or how much all of this means to me. You still accept me, even after I defied you and became the demon you tried to prevent me from becoming. Shedinja, so you hold the very essence of Ninjask. It makes me happy knowing that a part of Ninjask is still with me,
Adonis said from the bottom of his cold heart. Don't mention it, my boy. That's just what it means to have a family. It means you'll never be alone. Now, no more dwelling on the past, understand? This is what we will do to move forward. Starting tomorrow, we will begin training. We have 3 key elements to our training. The 3 purposes. 1. A warrior is only as good as his abilities and motor skills. You have been in some kind of chrono-cryogenic spiritual slumber for the past year, and you cannot control your new spirit body.
You made that apparent earlier when your spike in emotional distress caused you to enter a dark energy state. We will work on that first and foremost. 2. One cannot call themselves a Pokemon warrior without Pokemon. Your team of 6 Pokemon are dead, but not gone. Alakazam and I can still feel the spiritual presences of each individual Pokemon that was on your team when you were alive, including the Phantom Blade Aegislash. We will work on reaching out to their spirits individually. With a bit of training, I think Shedinja will do just fine until we unlock the rest of your team. 3. A plan must be in action before bringing the fight to Team Rocket. We are very far away from that stage. However, a seed must be planted and well watered for it to become an oak. Over time, our mission will become more clear to us, though for now, we must focus on the necessary fundamentals. This is a true blessing from Arceus, my boy. Adonis, you will be the world's savior. You will be the one to guide the light through this dark, dark land. I believe in you, my boy. I always have. You have been given a second chance. It is a true miracle. This is your story, Adonis. You shall carry the will of Lord Zero with you into every battle. Through death, you are his legacy. Are you ready for your true adventure to unfold, Adonis? Eldritch asked. Shedinja quickly floated over and landed on Adonis' shoulder again. Adonis smiles and says, "Grandfather, thank you for everything. I'm ready."